What's going on, guys? It's Henry from the PSI Defense Channel, coming to you with another video. I know a lot of you guys have been asking me, so the PSI and the power you're getting from your markers is kind of crazy. I'm not seeing those results. What are you doing magically to get your markers to shoot up to 40, 50, 60, and even had this one up to 81 joules in the video where I broke the firing pin. But it's not a lot of rocket science. There's just a few simple things that you have to have matched up properly to get the most out of these. First off, of course, you see that there's HPA. Now, starting off, all of my markers were CO2 based. Now this T8.1, this is still a CO2 marker. A lot of times I'll run that Comritech 16 gram CO2, but before I did anything to this, I took it out the box, I jacked up the PSI, I jacked up the velocity, and out of the box, it was used, but I got it from eBay. I slapped in a CO2 cartridge, put some joules in here, and it shot 51 joules. Blew my mind, right? Well, I had that black bolt in here. Is what we call the steel bolt, which is the aluminum bolt with the steel oxide coating. And but that first couple of shots, the first shot was 51 joules. That it takes so much CO2 out of a small 12 gram canister to generate that kind of pressure. So the second and the subsequent shots were quite a bit below that. And by the time you got to the end of an 8-round mag, you're shooting like 190 FPS. So that's not feasible. I've always been with my 12 gram CO2 markers. I've always tried to adjust them to maximize first to the last shots. And I comfortably shoot 40 to 35 joules out of this. Now, what I get, the recipe for power for this is the black bolt, the joules, which are port matched to the eBay barrels that I use a lot, and this First Strike mock suppressor. You see there's no ports in it. It's essentially a barrel extender. It's got a little bit larger diameter on the inside, but not by a lot. So I've got a FPS increase from that. So I'll show you guys what I'm getting from this. Alright guys, fresh CO2, I'm shooting HP 68s, that's what I look to shoot out of this thing. Alright, click. .390, 356. 194, that's a steep drop off. 290, 274, 252, 240. All right, I'm going to reduce the FPS a little bit in this. Sorry, reduce the velocity rather. So I've heard that it's best to adjust your velocity with your markers ungassed. So I'm basically just going to turn this back one full turn. Because honestly, if I get about 340 from the first shot and end out the mag with about 300, even 290s, that's sufficient to stop a person. Stop a person and his buddies. All right. Reduce the velocity, one turn counterclockwise. See what we get. Okay, 322. 308, 314, 320. It's 290. Still good. 274. 250. 238. All right, so there you have it. Not a bad spread there. Ideally, if you want to shoot high power across all 8 shots of CO2, then you're going to want to use a bigger cartridge than 12, something like the Grimburg 16 gram, or he's working on I forget what it's like, 22, 25 gram CO2 mags that fit the T8.1, T9.1, and FSC. So we'll wait with bated breath for that. He's supposed to be sending me something to test for you guys. So you know I'm going to put a video out, full testing of those. I'm sure they're going to be amazing. All right, so those results weren't bad. Pretty good, right? Definitely enough to stop a few people, put a little hurting on somebody, make them regret messing with you or your house. But that's not what you guys came to see. You guys came to see some big numbers. So I put my bad boy T8.1 back in action. I replaced the bolt that I damaged with a boom treated bolt. So I sent 2 bolts into Caesar. I actually reduced the tank pressure because what I found out is that Ninja tank that I had on here, I tested it. It was actually outputting over 1200 PSI. I think that's why I was getting like 81 joules and why I damaged the marker. So this one, I believe, is running at 1000. So I only recommend really running your markers at 900 to 1000 PSI. 950 is a pretty good sweet spot because you run the risk of damaging your markers. I mean, yeah, sometimes you can find replacement parts, but sometimes you can't. Sometimes your expensive marker is just going to be sidelined because you broke it. So it's better to be reliable than to have really crazy numbers. So I'm going to see what I get from this. Caesarized bolt, so I know that's going to make a difference because that beats the black anodized steel bolts. I've got my new Hero 2 tank on here. This is a 14-inch eBay barrel. That makes a huge difference. What am I running in here? Am I running HPs? Yeah, I'm running HPs in this too. And one thing I found out when I was running at the high FPS, when I actually broke the firing pin in this in the last video, it was with the dry shot. So watch out for that, because with your HPA tank, you're going to get relatively consistent power across the majority of all your shots. So until you get down to about 1000 PSI, because this is outputting 1000 PSI, once you're down to the last 1000 PSI of your tank, you know, you don't have a whole lot left. But when you have a full tank, you're going to be putting out a whole lot of PSI. So just be careful. I mean, take care of your markers so that when you need them, they'll take care of you. All right? So I love this. It's always ready. It's gassed up. I've got the Balder S. This thing is phenomenal. I don't need the light in here, but it's a lot brighter. The laser, it reaches out a lot further. It's a lot sharper laser. And the battery, which with the Balder Mini was one of the biggest gripes that I had. Although I like my dot sights, my reflex and holographic sights, I really like them for home defense scenario. So you don't even have to sight your marker. You don't have to bring it up to look down to the sights. You just put the dot where you want to hit it. Boom. And it's good to have both. I usually like to sight my holographic or my reflex sights out to about 20-25 feet and about 10-15 usable feet, which is the maximum distance inside my house for the lasers, because you know, you can just pull it up, fire off some shots, boom, boom, boom. Don't have to worry about it. All right, but again, this is my baby because just keep the safety on. I keep it loaded. Pull the slide check and it's aired out. So this is the first time I shot it since I broke the firing pin. So a little nervous, but I'll go ahead and adjust it. We'll see what we get. Hmm. 256. Okay. That's more like it. 406. 404. $396. Okay, that was a double shot. A little nervous. And I got a jam. The thing I like about the slide check, I can release the pressure, but I did get a jam. If I was running joules, that wouldn't happen, but that double shot made me a little nervous because, you know, I do have that trigger group in the regulator modified, the springs are modified, so the sear has more tension, and all that good stuff. So I'm going to turn it down. I'm going to stick with the HP so I can make sure I get good consistent power. I don't know, I'm probably going to set it for about 380 or so FPS. You know, I love shooting above 400, but I don't love tearing up markers. So I did reduce the tank output pressure, but that is a Caesarized bolt, so I can definitely see the efficiency has gone up with that. So all right, I'm going to turn it down, reload my mag, see what we get. All right, so one thing I noticed when I collected my HPs out of there, all these HPs were in great shape. I inspected them before I loaded them. Look at that. I mean, this high output pressure and those bolts slamming against them. Look at this one. Putting a beating on the back of these HPs and the bolt slams up against the back of there. Another reason to maybe run reasonable FPS. All right, so I'm going to turn this down in quarter turn increments. Quarter turn. Yeah, and also I deleted the PRV in this one, and I got to be honest with you guys. I mean, since I did that, I've had mixed results. I mean, I'm getting a lot of power in the initial shots of my CO2 markers, but I don't know. The jury's still out. I'm not quite sold on it. Although it may increase the efficiency in HPA markers. It may increase, you know, you may use less air because all your air is definitely going into your shots. As long as you set it up and set your velocity to where you want it, you should be okay. But I don't know. I don't know if I'm really feeling it. I got to do some more testing, guys. But all right, load it back up. All right, it looks like I'll be buying another bolt for my HPA equipped T8.1. So got to dig into that. I do have some other bolt parts, so maybe I can Frankenstein another bolt together for it. But moral of the story, too high a PSI will ruin your gun. So all is not lost. I do have my Aurora build FSC. Tested this extensively and it does great. So fingers crossed I won't be ruining this, but the way I'm getting power from this, 3000 PSI paintball tank, and what I'm outputting here is, let's see, 1050 PSI. All right, so also on my Grimburg Aurora build, I call that a Grimburg Aurora build because I'm using their Grimburg or their Aurora front end. It has the mag holder and then this quad rail compensator type thing in the front. Pretty incredible. Their prints are amazing. But we've got the Lapco Big Shot 9-inch 686 bore smooth bore barrel. Just has a regular aluminum bolt. I do intend to get that Caesarized. And one of my subscribers was asking me about the magazines and the slip covers and how you keep it from engaging before you stick it in. I leave mine sitting just like this because once the slip cover goes all the way down. It engages the follower and allows that spring to push the balls in, and now it's good to go. Put my tank on here. And cross my fingers to successfully run some numbers. So here is the ASA on and off. $352, $264. I don't know what's in the back. $384, $390, $364, $376, $344. I'm going to stop there to avoid a dry fire. I know I've got a couple more rounds I wasn't counting. Oh, that was it. All right. So you can see this is good to go. Let's see how much gas did I use. I used almost 1,000 PSI on that. So 3,000 PSI. I just cannot get my camera to focus. But 3,000 PSI tank. I've got 2 mags on board. I can easily get through those 2 and possibly have some more shots. So I'm going to leave this at the velocity I have it set at. I'm very happy with it. But as you can see with my T8.1 with the HPA, I'm going to have to drop that pressure down a lot. Maybe not a lot, but I'll do some more tinkering because I've had that set up for a while and I haven't really blown anything, but I didn't have it above 1,000 PSI. But that's essentially how I'm making the numbers. As you guys can see, try at your own risk. I know a lot of y'all have complimented me on my t-shirt game. If you like these t-shirts, this is a new company. I will put the link in the description along with some product links about where I'm getting some of my stuff. Main thing is that I'm using to get power, tank output pressure, or if you're doing CO2, 2x12, 16 gram CO2, anything above that allows you to raise the FPS, raise the velocity, and still have enough gas to finish out a mag. Or tank output pressure from anywhere from 900 to 1,000. I would definitely keep it under 1,000. Clean, maintain your markers. I'm boom treating all my internals as we speak. So that reduces friction, increases efficiency, barrel length, and port matching to your barrel. I'm using the eBay barrels, the best rounds that I've found to match with those that I've used so far of the Grimburg Joules. I get the best efficiency in PSI with Grimburg Joules through those barrels. The Lapco 686 barrels also shoot phenomenally with Joules. They also shoot pretty good with HP 68s. HP 68s at high FPS or tend to jam because you have so much bolt pressure and it's a lot more speed. If the bolt comes back before the next round is chambered, you'll get a jam inside there. And you know, barrel length, and basically that's it. So you know, it's not a whole lot of rocket science. I'm just taking care of my markers, and hopefully you guys learned something off this video. If you like this video, if you're enjoying the channel, please like, share, and definitely subscribe. Really helps out the channel, helps me help you, bring you a lot more content to help you out in your less lethal endeavors. As always, remember to take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and show love today. Peace out.